2. In 1990, about 12% of Americans were obese. By 2010, the national average was above 30%. Next time you go to an airport terminal, supermarket, or mall, look around and see for yourself. The obesity epidemic is not just a U.S. problem, it's global. As of 2008, according to the World Health Organization, WHO, 1.5 billion adults were overweight. Of these, over 200 million men and nearly 300 million women qualified as obese. Many of these people live in developing countries that we associate more with famine than with overeating. These figures are alarming, but the really shocking fact is that this accumulation of global human body fat has been accelerating not over the course of a few centuries, but in a mere 2 decades. Yet fat and sugar-rich foods, so often blamed for all the extra pounds, have been ubiquitous for a good deal longer than that, at least in the developed world, and the new generations of overweight people in the third world have not suddenly adopted a Kentucky Fried American-style diet. Epidemiologic studies have shown that high caloric intake, while definitely not helpful, is not sufficient to explain the distribution or course of the worldwide obesity epidemic. At the same time, the autoimmune form of diabetes that begins in childhood and requires insulin injections, juvenile or type 1 diabetes, has been doubling in incidence about every 20 years across the industrialized world. In Finland, where record-keeping is meticulous, the incidence has risen 550% since 1950. This increase is not because we are detecting type 1 diabetes more readily. Before insulin was discovered in the 1920s, the disease was always fatal. Nowadays, with adequate treatment, most children survive. But the disease itself has not changed. Something in us has changed. Type 1 diabetes is also striking younger children. The average age of diagnosis used to be about 9. Now it is around 6, and some children are becoming diabetic when they are 3. The recent rise in asthma, a chronic inflammation of the airways, is simply alarming. 1 in 12 people, about 25 million or 8% of the U.S. population, had asthma in 2009, compared with 1 in 14 a decade earlier. 10% of American children suffer wheezing, breathlessness, chest tightness, and coughing. Black children have it worst. 1 in 6 has the disease. Their rate increased by 50% from 2001 through 2009. But the rise in asthma has not spared any ethnicity. The rates were initially different in various groups, and all have been rising. Asthma is often triggered by something in the environment, such as tobacco smoke, mold, air pollution, cockroach leavings, colds, and flu. Once an attack begins, asthmatics gasp for air and, without quick medication, are rushed to emergency rooms. Even with the best care, they can die, as did the son of a physician colleague. No economic or social class has been spared. Food allergies are everywhere. A generation ago, peanut allergies were extremely rare. Now, if you stroll through any preschool, you will see walls plastered with "Nut-Free Zone" bulletins. More and more children suffer immune responses to proteins in foods, not just in nuts, but in milk, eggs, soy, fish, fruits, you name it. Someone is allergic to it. Celiac disease, an allergy to gluten, the main protein in wheat flour, is rampant. 10% of children suffer from hay fever. Eczema, a chronic skin inflammation, affects more than 15% of children and 2% of adults in the United States. In industrialized nations, the number of kids with eczema has tripled in the past 30 years. These disorders suggest that our children are experiencing levels of immune dysfunction never seen before, as well as conditions such as autism, a much discussed and debated modern plague that is a focus of my laboratory. Nor are adults escaping their own share of modern plagues. The incidence of inflammatory bowel disease, including Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, is rising wherever we look.